more LNER locomotives are seen at Bridgeton Central on the Scottish region on the eastern side of Glasgow, where the newly erected 25 kilowatt overhead catenary heralded the end of steam suburban working in the city. This was the second phase of the famous Glasgow Blue Trains electrification, which was inaugurated on the 29th of May 1962. Steam had had one brief reprieve when the first part of this scheme had been inaugurated and withdrawn, but this was to presage the end of steam suburban workings in Scotland. By contrast, Scotland had a number of long, straggling main lines which served sparsely populated country, prime targets for beaching. Most notable was the Waverley route from Edinburgh to Carlisle, which outlasted steam but only just. It closed in 1969. Scotland also had many branches serving small communities, which were under review at the beginning of the decade. One such was the Killen branch, a short line which ran from the Callander and Oban line at Killen Junction alongside Loch Tay. Closure came in 1965. A rather more positive note had been struck at the end of the 50s when the North British Glen Douglas was restored to its pre-grouping livery. The Scottish region had retained an example of each of the principal Scottish companies' locomotives, together with 2 Caledonian coaches for use on rail tours, a most notable public relations exercise. The coaches are seen here behind the North British Class J36060 during the 1960 Scottish Rail Tour, which visited many of the branches and lines then under threat. The British Railway Standard classes had been a godsend for the Scottish region's former LMS lines. The Class 4s are seen on the Port Road from Dumfries to Stranraer, which stretched across the southwestern part of Scotland. The branches went in 1964, and the main line, condemned by beaching, went in 1965. Both trains to Stranraer Harbour for the Irish traffic were diverted to take the long loop via Ayr and Kilmarnock. As with all closures, many steam locomotives lost their duties. In this case, the small class of British Railway Standard Class 6 Pacifics, the Clans, were made redundant, the first standard class to be eliminated. At the beginning of the decade, there were many pre-grouping classes still in existence in Scotland. Over 100 of these Caledonian 060 jumbos remained in 1961, although all were gone by 1964. The great Scottish company's entire stock being eliminated by the end of 1964, when the final Pickersgill goods engines went. Thereafter, the only evidence of Scottish railway history remained in the form of track and buildings, but the beaching, cuts and closures would ensure that it was a very much smaller Scottish region that finally dispensed with steam in the summer of 1967.